Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Angelita Mendoza-Waterhouse, and last Wednesday I had the 3rd anniversary of being ordained as a deacon.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes.
I'm running out of days.
No, it was yesterday.
And it's been a significant journey in my life, and I feel very strongly that if one allows the Lord to take over your life and take you in the right direction, you'll get there. Father says I flew in. Well, I practically did. I was going down 35 until I met all the traffic in Austin. I for approximately 26 years, I have been serving the community as an associate judge in family law. And I am going to be retiring in December. And I flew in from New Braunfels. New Braunfels is Comal County, Texas. And that is where I was born. And the region that I work for has 20 some odd counties, and Comal is one of them. Well, when I was born in Comal County, based on Father Libardo's definition, we were not poor. My mother's mother had a wood-burning stove, and we had gas. And on Monday mornings I'd be kind of embarrassed because my mom would be drying my white canvas tennis shoes over the gas stove to dry them, and I'd go to school with my shoelaces burnt. So at that time I didn't feel the same way as I do now, but we were not poor. We could wake up to a refrigerator full of Lone Star, and later on we made it up to Budweiser, you know. So we were not poor. We had lots of those, ¿cómo se dice, yucle? Big containers of, no,
costales.
Costales, yes. Oh, that's not in English either.
Eggs.
Rice and beans and potatoes. We had a lot of that in those big old
Barrels?
brown.
It's a brown sack, intertwined sack.
Burlap. We had burlap sacks of all of that, so we were not poor. We were good. We dealt with tuberculosis, and everybody except me got to stay at the hospital for that. And we dealt with hepatitis. Yeah, I got to stay in the hospital with that. And, you know, all of those things that almost poverty gets you, the environment. And those are the kinds of realities in a very small town in the body of a very nice city. Now it's, you know, anybody heard of Schlitterbahn? Mm-hmm. Well, that's where New Braunfels is. But on the west side, Friday nights especially, Saturday nights, we shut down the Venetian blinds, and, you know, whenever we'd hear a pop, we'd check to see who it was. And, you know, if somebody was out there, you know, stabbing somebody else, we'd check to see who it was in case, you know, anybody asked who's gone, who's not there Monday morning. You know, nobody would call the police because, you know, what for? They wouldn't come anyway. So that's
to the West End.
Right, we ain't going to the West End until it's all over. Besides, you know, they can kill themselves, and we won't worry about them. But I say that just because it's been a long time. That's a long journey for me to come from the west side of New Braunfels, El Barrio Seco is what it's called, to holding court for the district judges in Comal County. But more importantly, because that's where I'm from. It's my reality. You have your own reality, where you come from, and your circumstances. Maybe you didn't have those big
Burlap bags.
burlap bags of potatoes. Maybe you didn't have that much, you know, but you had something, and we survived. We all did, somehow. And as you get to that realization that, there's a little bit more to this in this world, perhaps. And if you have family, such as my mother, we were encouraged to go to church. You know, it's that way, keep going 2 blocks and go right. And so that's what happened. I go 2 blocks and go right. I arrived at the church. Well, one day I felt a presence. I always felt like a loner because I didn't feel like I was like dropped into this world.
What was that church?
Holy Family.
Holy Family.
It was Holy Family, Roman Catholic Church. And so that presence was a very beautiful experience. It allowed me to be somewhere else at the same time, alone with the presence and a wind, a coolness, and a light. And I was just sitting in front of the church, just kind of praying in the way little children pray. And I felt the same way when I was ordained. I felt like I had escaped to this cave by the ocean, and it was wind, and it was a presence that was so peaceful. I felt I was away from where I was. I think they woke me up just to get up off the floor. So that to me was a very enlightening time. It broadened my horizons. It took me outside of the West End. I recognized that I had something else that I had to do. Of course, in our human experience, lots of things happen before you get to where you need to do what you have to do, perhaps. And you have experienced that. So I'm going to fast forward because I talked to my husband, who hopefully you'll meet later, and I said, you know, I'm preparing for this and that. His final word was, stay away from the bad stuff and recognize the role model that you are. So I'm going to fast forward very many years as I became an adult, and here I am in Austin, Texas. And I met my husband, and I think next year we'll be together 40 years, 40, unbelievable. But we've been together that long, been through a lot. And some of the things that we went through were difficult, and I'll just kind of start from the present and go backwards. You know, last year in December, I was told, hey, you gotta do this, that, or the other, otherwise you're gonna die in 2 years. We can almost guarantee it, because you got breast cancer and SOL, you know? Oh boy, okay, well, I got a lot of stuff to do, but I don't know if I can do it all in 2 years, so okay, go ahead and just chop it off, whatever you need to chop off. So that's what happened, and I'm still counting, haven't made it past the first year, but you never know, the Lord knows better. That's my perspective. Now there's a famous group called the Breast Cancer Survivors. That's me too. I have another hat to wear. I took it as a really serious inconvenience, and I did everything that the doctors said, because I figured, hey, you know, God controls everything and everyone. God knows when our last day and our last breath is. Anyway, between now and then, these doctors can do whatever they need to do. So that was the last thing. Well, the present thing is happening. And so before that, in October of 2013, this family, the Holy Family American Catholic Church, was very gracious in helping me to clean up our house. We had 3 feet of water in our house when the rains came, and the creek that was like 43 feet down from where we lived. It just kind of grew and came into our house. So we had a flood. And we lost almost everything, but not everything. Kept our lives. And it was a very interesting experience, very traumatic. Especially since that October when it happened, we were struggling to get my husband a rehab bed so that he could go to learn how to walk, since the July before that same year he had been driving in front of St. Edward's University 5 miles an hour in his motorcycle, as he had for 5 years, back and forth to work, and someone at 5 miles an hour hit him, and he ultimately, after a dozen operations, he lost his right leg. So we were recovering from that same year. This is not the bad stuff, by the way. He's up and running. He went back to work, and you know, he appealed gazillion times all the insurance companies that didn't want to give him a leg because, hey, you're 70 plus years old. You know, you get Social Security check. You know, go out and graze in your field or something. And he says, no, I want to go to work. I want to, you know, get back to where I was. And he did, and he's been a great inspiration for me. And I have to say, he is, you would like him. He is very similar to many of you who are intellectuals and know a whole lot about a lot of things. I am very happy that he is able to listen to me, because when I ask him questions, he has a zillion answers from dozens of resources or sources that he can, you know, come up with different kinds of ideas or solutions. And in our partnership, I have always relied on him to say, hey, I feel this way, or this and this happened. Is that normal? Because I'm sometimes hesitant to think, you know, what I'm thinking is this, that, and the other. Well, my thoughts are what I perceive a little different. I've always been a little different. So that has helped me, though, in my work, in my civil judgment work. I remember when I first thought about applying for this job, I asked one of the Roman priests, at that time it was Father Kirby, and I said, I'm thinking about this job, you know, because I'm doing all this criminal defense work, and now if I do this job, it's like I'm judging, and isn't that like God's supposed to be the judge, not me? You know, I'm kind of afraid to apply. And he says, oh yes, I understand perfectly. Let me ask you this, is someone going to do that job? I said, well, yes, they're going to choose somebody. 200 and some odd people have applied. He says, oh, well, do you think you could do as good a job as them? Well, sure. Just, well, then apply. Oh, okay. You know, 1 out of 226, okay. Well, that happened. Also, speaking back to my husband and what his sense of normalcy is, when I first met him, he was not a Roman Catholic. In fact, he was way out there. I'm not going to talk about the bad, only to say that he spoke to a Franciscan priest by the name of Father Larry Mattingly. He's the one that spoke to my husband in a way that I could not, and converted him to Catholicism, baptized him. I mean, the whole thing. And I was like, wow, all I did was pray. It took me 2 years, but I prayed, and it happened. Wow, it's amazing. So, why? So what? Everybody has special things in their own life that happen, things that you survive, things that you experienced. What's so special about my life? Nothing, except that it's my experience. And when I communicate or listen, as someone said yesterday, listen from the heart to others, you have those experiences to dwell on. You can relate in your feelings or in your approach to the problem. And some people, when they come to you for answers, they really just need to say in their own ways. Is this normal? Should I be feeling this way? Am I wrong? Those kinds of things that we don't know about. Is this what God wants? What does God want me to do? We can only say what we know in our experience when we communicate with our community. We may be in totally different worlds. Yes, they may have unemployment, may have a lack of resources, or for that matter, they may have an abundance of resources that is just as bad as having no resources, because those material things will get in the way between you and God, if allowed. So it can be the same problem with a whole different obstacle. Obstacles that get in the way of finding your way toward the light, toward God. So how do our lives and our ministries get shaped by the challenges of our lives? That is my topic. And I firmly believe that each one of us has that inward strength and experience to be able to share the love of God, to hopefully assist someone in their resolution of their problems, and recognize that we may not have the answers. We may not be at the right place at the right time and the right person to have that answer for that person. But we most certainly have the ability to share our love with them. And if we have the understanding that love is the answer, that's all we need. Love.